For the front end, there's all kinds of stuff here. We are going to have to pull this cover off. We have to take the lights off. And a light kit. You can put a light kit in this thing too. The buckets are set up for lights. As you can see in the back of them, we got a hole. And to get to the shocks in the front, which are actually, we are going to have to pull the rest of these plates, I think. We will find out. Like I said, I ordered some new tires and wheels for this. I ordered the 1.9 wheels. I got some 1.9 bead locks, metal bead locks. And I also ordered some tires. These are 32-inch tires. I ordered some 40s, 98 millimeter. I think we'll need to take this off. Skid plate. Okay, I think we can get at everything, but we will see. Alright, it looks like we've got a screw holding this little plate right here that seems to be holding the pins for the front A-arm, or arm, I don't know, they're not A's. Yep. Like I said, if you don't think you're going to know for sure how this goes back together, I suggest you take a picture, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, so we have links going from the shock towers to shock brackets, and we have new shock brackets. I've seen those. I'm hoping that I can pull these, yeah, and that pin will stay right where we need it to. So what we'll do, as we pull one off, we will put the new on. Now these are all adjustable, these links, which you can get your toe in and all that kind of stuff. You can adjust it. And they all seem to be pretty much the same length. Well, no, there's two that are longer than the rest of them. So what we'll do is we'll make them the same length as the original ones and go from there. So those long ones don't go there. So it's a short one. And these are lockable in place. So what we'll do is adjust it so that it's the same that it was originally, because I'll be honest with you, it went pretty daggone straight. Pretty doggone nice. So once you get it at the length you want, there's two nuts on here. You tighten those down against the rod ends, and that'll keep it from loosening up. We'll hold this center piece here and tighten the nut up against the rod end. And that's all you got to do. And these are threaded so the one is reverse to the other, which allows it to won't come loose later. It comes with bushings and screws. I'm going to use this. I'm going to change the bushings. The bushings that are in there look like they're, well, they may be part of the screw. I may keep these. They look fine. These are brass, but I'm going to keep those. Okay, so the rod end goes in here. Okay, so these links have different size bushings in them. The ones that go into the frames here have smaller bushings. Alright, now we'll do the other side. If it'll come off or not. We shall find out. But we can get it up out of the way. Looks like we're going to have to take out the whole differential actually. The whole differential, axles, everything. Only because of two screws that are screwed in from the inside. The steering mount is this piece and this piece, and they're connected to the servo horn. And then underneath the mount for the and that's a captive screw. Alrighty. So here is the parts that I just removed for the steering. Well, that's a pretty tight fit. I'm gonna put we'll probably put some grease on that. There are two screws that are going that way that I can't get to. Those 5 screws drop the whole front. So there's 5 screws here that drop the whole front off. And now we can get at all this, because we're going to replace everything except the drive shafts. And the drive shafts are metal. Alright, so we rebuild these. So the drive shaft comes out. There's 2 bearings in here. We're going to want to take those out. So the pieces that we need are these. And the knuckles. And the shafts, and they are, one is long and one is short. All right, so this is what we got here. And the only thing you need out of here is the bearings. And that's all you need out here. Well, you want this hardware. This link, the longer of the two, goes on the knuckle itself. And I'm going to make those the same length as the ones that were already on it. And the shorter one goes here. Okay. So again, very smart idea to take it apart and put it back together when you can tell what it looks like. Okay, so bearings, 2 arms, and now the other one. Okay, got the 2 front parts done. Now we have this steering arm, which has 1 more of these, and this bar here. This. So that's finished. So we got all the parts for the front, and I gotta figure out where these two go. I'm gonna make sure I got everything the right way. No, this has got to go this way. Okay, so now we have all the hardware changed and everything. We have parts here that I haven't seen. Okay. Now, to get those shocks out, I'm going to pause this here and I'll come back when I figure out what the heck to do. Alright, so these are shock towers for the rear. Okay, so the shock tower goes in here. I figured it out. Finally. So basically, there are 2 screws in the bottom of the shock tower. That go through the tub. And then there's 1 screw inside the shock tower in the top hole. There are 2 holes. And it comes out. And then the other one just goes back in like that one came out. There's a kind of adjustability here too. You can put them in 2 different places. It's actually probably 4. But we still haven't got these shocks out, which means I'm going to have to take the interior out. Okay, on the interior there is a switch to the ESC. So just be careful there. Then you can get to the shocks. Now you could take again, you could take this frame all apart and probably do this much easier. Okay. So now we got the shocks back in. Okay. So all of this and we need, these are the old shock tower steering. These are the new ones. The hardest part is going to get getting this back into the drive shaft, I do believe. Okay, I got the drive shaft in. We'll put the top bracket in to the top of the differential. 2 screws. Okay, the bottom, there are 5 screws. So now we got those in. When we hook up all this crazy stuff in the front here. Shocks. We have new shock mounts. I don't know which. It says left and right on them. Left and right from the front or left and right from the rear. We'll put them on this way first and see what happens. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is hook up the steering. This is the link for the steering. Okay, so now we'll put the steering in. Steering goes in here underneath this bracket. Okay, so we got the steering bracket arm link in place. The shocks connect to the shock tower. Alright, shocks are in. Now we need to hook the steering mechanism up to the steering servo arm. Alrighty then. Then the steering arms okay, like I say, steering arms, they go on the bottom of that steering mechanism, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now we got 4 more ends to cook on, and I would we need to put this bracket back on. Alright, so these inner arms go to the differential. Okay. Put this front cover skid plate back on. Okay. Now, 2 bearings fell out of the front after all that. Alright, so now we have all the red fancy suspension parts in. All we have to do is put some wheels and tires on it. Definitely makes it look sharper. Does it run any better? I don't know. Everything is good to go. Wheels and tires. Okay, so these are the wheels and tires that were on here. And this tire that we're going to put on is 3.9. So these are 3.2. These are 3.9. So this is like having a 40-inch tire, and this is like having a 32-inch tire. Okay, and then we have some bead locks, and I've used these bead locks from Injora. They're not expensive, and I will put all the parts in the description that I use. But these wheels are 1.9s and red and black. And they have 150 million screws. So let's see what we can do with these wheels. They're pretty easy to use. Okay, they got 2 screws in the back right now. So we take those 2 screws out and find the right wrench size. And these 2 parts have a lip here that's clamped down on the bead. This ring clamps down on the bead, and this ring goes inside the tires. So we put the tire. These tires do have foams. I'll show you from another one. But you make sure the ring is inside the bead, both sides. You can feel it go in. It will then figure out which side you want to wear. Place the wheel with the ring on top. That pinches the top bead. And then you take the ring and the bottom, line it up. And that pinches the bottom bead. And that's all there is to it, guys. Then you got 1.5 million 0.2 screws to put in. Okay, so they are very simple to put together. They work very well, especially if you buy their wheel tires. And these are both made by Injora, I do believe. But that's it, and that'll be our tires and wheels. All right, rather than bore you with me putting in 350,000.2 screws, I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I was going to show you guys the foams from in these tires. These wheels are not Injora, they're Hobby Park. Still made in China. But they got really cheap foams. Okay, but they do have foams. But they don't seem to be, these wheels, tires, don't seem to be prone to roll over on their sides. So, we'll see. Okay, guys, if you want to make this job easier, this is a kind of an afterthought. If you remove 4 screws, you remove these 4 screws in the bottom of the tub, and the 2 screws that are in the top of the two screws that are in the top of the roof that go into the shock towers, and the two screws on the back of the battery tray, kind of hard to see back here, okay, right in here. You can lift this frame chassis off, but you also have to remove two screws on the on-off switch excuse me, inside the cab. And to get the switch out of the inside here, you have to cut this plastic. Otherwise, it's glued in. Not glued in, I think it's probably actually siliconed in to keep it waterproof. Okay, so once you get it open like this, to get that switch out of the way, I am going to put the original shocks back in. And this is much easier to work on this way. Kind of wish I'd have took it off before. But I'm old, 70 years old. And just, you know what I mean? Sometimes you don't look for the easy part, and you should. And it's nice that you can look in here a little bit, get a little idea of what's going on. But I'm going to put the original shocks back in. Okay, as you can see, with the shocks back on, the original shocks in the back, we're back to much better. So, I suggest you leave the original shocks in. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Have a great day.